3-5.
Everyone, I want to call to order the public hearing on the budget. Would the budget officer like to give us a rundown?
Thank you.
And just a reminder, we only have 15 minutes for this public hearing.
So a couple of things about the budget that I think are important to point out. We've had a number of meetings there for tonight and for the final budget for next month. One of the things that I think is important for everybody to be aware of when you look at the budget, you shouldn't just look at the budget itself in a vacuum. Two other important documents to look at. One is the town's balance sheet, and the reason that's important is that there are line items on there that list an expectation of us receiving money. Generally, those are grants. And then the second really important document to look at is the forecasted fund balance for the end of the year. And the reason that's important, and it shows it's a measure of health of the town budget, which is in really good shape. We expect to finish the year with over $1.4 million in excess funds, which is a good place to be. One thing about the budget that we did leave out, my mistake of the budgeting process, is that historically we have funded, I think it was $13,000 a year for Anchor Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And those ARPA funds have run out. We don't get them anymore. So what I neglected to do was to put a line item in the budget for Anchor Neighbors Helping Neighbors to replace the ARPA money. And in discussion with them, what they asked for is for $10,000. So not the full 13 that we had been issuing in the past. They're going to contribute a bit more. So when the time comes for you to discuss or approve the budget tonight, I would ask that you consider getting the $10,000 back in as a line item, and we'll include it in the budget next time. I don't have anything else to add. I think all the other items that were noteworthy, I put in a separate Word document, and people can question if they wish. Thank you.
If the amount for Neighbors Helping Neighbors was $13,000 in the past, why would we only put $10,000, and why not put the full 13?
We are trying to participate in the budget efforts that you guys are doing, but it would be helpful, obviously, if we could get funding instead of that we had before. But we understand costs are up for everybody, and we appreciate what you guys do for us. So I'll go out and ask my 10 cup if I want to get.
Well, Jack, I'm going to help you out. Because the supervisor's salary in the budget has been raised to $15,000. And I am not going to accept that raise. I am not going to accept a $10,000 raise, so I will skip the $10,000 raise, and we could put it into a line item for Neighbors Helping Neighbors.
Not every Monday and get food.
I have to fight Monica to get in there.
So are we going to discuss that at some point in now or later in the meeting? The raises.
Are we going to?
Hmm?
No, we got to do it.
Now it's the public hearing. Last month there were no raises for anybody. Now there are raises for the town supervisor as well as the councilman. I personally don't want to raise either, and I'm going to be here definitely for the next 2 years, so I'll definitely give back my money and make sure that they've got enough money to operate on. I don't understand where all those raises came from.
Well, you probably got, if we're going to discuss this now, we might as well. Because, there's been, it came up from, I believe, the budget officer initially that Ancrum is, at the bottom of the list for payment for the town board and the supervisor. Now, I think the $15,000 is too much of a raise. And I don't think any of us do this for money, clearly, but, I think the rest of the staff and the employees overall are getting a raise, correct? As they should. We have to take care of our people. And I mean, I think that, we could be compensated. And when we think about the wages for this board, it's not just about this year. It's about the future and like keeping up with cost of living and that sort of thing. So, if we come to the point where we can't afford it this year, then that's fine with me. But it's not just about us and our salaries this year. It's about the future and about who might sit here next. Because who knows?
I agree. I agree with that.
So we will decide, what we want to do with that. If we accept raises and you want to not take it or give the money back, that's an option. But we have to consider the future and who our leaders are and who's going to be sitting here. That's my opinion.
Bonnie, I have to agree with you in that if we want to inspire younger people to possibly take on this job, $15,000 a year is not something that anyone could live on or attempt to live on. So, but I also understand that none of us do it for the money. And I am actually would like to thank Supervisor MacArthur for doing that. And I would follow the lead as well. Any raises that were added, I would give to neighbors helping neighbors. Yeah. But again, it's also setting us up for the future and what's going to go on in the future as well.
I agree, but I just think we need to have a bigger discussion on this before we start jumping somebody's salary by $10,000 a year. And I agree that we're not going to attract younger people, but we're also not going to attract a younger person for $15,000 a year to come in here and work. So
That is the sole job.
it's a problem I think we need to talk more about before we.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Okay. What else?
I also think we need to talk about another line item that was put in this month, between last month's, budget hearing and now, it was put in for the pavilion at the line, I guess, for 35,000. I don't understand, we were told last month that the pavilion was basically covered by grants. And we had only spent so much on it. We'd only spent $17,000. Well, to start with, that's incorrect. I signed the checks. We have paid for everything in advance. We haven't gotten the grants yet. We may get the grants, we may not, but we have already spent it. And I talked about the fact that if we did everything that I was hearing people wanted to do with the pavilion, it was going to cost quite a bit more. Well, if we put a line item in our budget of $35,000 a year, that's there every year, year after year. And in just 5 years, that's another $175,000 towards the pavilion. Well, are we going to do that much work on it every year? Are we going to do repairs on it? It's brand new. It shouldn't need a whole lot. So what is that $35,000 for? That's just for something that somebody wants to add on to it already.
David, just know that we will get the grant money. You don't need to question that. It was granted to us and we're going through the proper processes. And we have to submit all the paperwork, and they said initially it'd take up to a year, and that's how grants work. That's just how they work. The 35,000 item was put in, the FACT committee came up with that, and it doesn't mean it'll be spent. We had 35,000 for affordable housing we haven't spent, so we're reducing that. That doesn't mean it'll be there every year. It just means we have a few things left, maybe we want to do, we'll decide as a board. But you don't need to question that the grant money is coming, it's coming, but it takes, every grant takes time to work through the process. So I would appreciate it if people would stop saying, well, maybe we're not gonna get the money, because
Can you explain to me how, when we bid that? When did the town board vote on it? We never even voted on that as a town board. Quite honestly, this month, you guys, and I will say right now, the stain on the pavilion looks really good. And it needed to be done. But nobody got to vote on it.
no, we didn't, and
No,
that
we
was
did not.
ridiculous. I don't know who made that decision, I don't know what it cost,
Yeah.
and I don't know
So
why
when
it
did
was
we vote
done.
on the pavilion in general? We never voted on a price for the pavilion or to go
We
ahead.
talked about it month
We
after
talked
month.
about it, we find a vote in the minutes anywhere this year that we said, okay, we're gonna spend this much on the pavilion. This is a company, we never voted on it. We had it last month. We had to change an invoice that was coming to the planning board because it had to say the town board, not the planning board, because the town board is the only one that can pay money. Well, we never voted on the pavilion. So how did it happen?
We talked about it for last year, right?
We talked about it, but we never voted.
Okay,
I'm
It-
just telling you. So maybe if somebody researches it a little bit more, I'm not positive we will get the grant. We've got another grant that's out there hanging for over 2 years.
that's the New York State government, you heard them, you heard it
Well,
said, that's
if you
how they
look at-
work.
If you look at current things in the world, are you certain we're gonna get grants?
Are we certain of anything?
Okay.
Well, listen, grant or no grant, this is a public hearing on the budget. We need to get through this public hearing. Then we can talk about the pavilion, the regular meeting.
I'd like to just add to that. I believe there was a resolution, Monica, I don't remember the exact number, for when we put the budget line in for the pavilion. And in which that resolution, if I'm not mistaken, may have language in there that we support doing the pavilion. But I would like to take a look at that. We can maybe answer that question for you, David. But I don't have it in front of me right
We
this
need to
minute.
vote on the bid. That's how, when we buy it, we voted before to buy plow trucks, but the town highway supervisor has to come to us with an actual, this is the price of the truck, and we vote on it. And then we vote how to pay for it. That was never done. The first time we heard the final number on the pavilion was last month. And we were told that we only spent $17,000, and I know better than that because I signed the checks.
Additionally, I'd like to clarify the budget number. We have, if we would like to put electric into the pavilion, we already have one quote at about $31,000. So $35,000 seemed like an appropriate number to put in there until we get additional quotes and can vote on that.
Are there any public comments on the budget?
No, one person talked to me about it, I volunteered to do the picture for him. What are we looking at, what are we doing?
Needs to get the microphone.
Number one, doesn't have anything to do. Right now, it's a public hearing on the budget. The only thing we can discuss is the budget. Yes,
You're around.
I did not.
We
That'll
have
be a
a
question for,
we have a preliminary bid for $31,000. So based on that, just to start, we don't have additional bids, which obviously we're going to need to have like at least three other bids. But if we know that that's the ballpark that we're going to be coming up against, we went with 35. It's $4,000 over the first bid that we have.
any other public comment?
All the other comment would be, great if you take that over to do it, that's a great call, we got down Jackson. Top notch. A great idea, I told everybody that we just do that.
Okay. There's no other public comment or any more comments from the board?
It's
If-
time.
If not, I'll entertain a motion in a second to close the public hearing.
Motion made. Second?
Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. At this time, I will call the regular meeting of the Ankrum Town Board to order, and we will start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
It's in my car.
Aye.
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recusal check. Anybody need to recuse themselves from any business tonight? If not, I'll entertain a motion in a second to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We have a guest here this evening for a special presentation. And it is Dr. Brian Tim, Superintendent of Schools in the Pine Plains School District. Welcome.
Thank you. If I could just take that. Yeah, there we are. Would you like me to wait or shall I begin? You got it or? Okay. So thank you for the opportunity to address the board tonight. And really my goal tonight is to just make sure that the board is aware of some of the things that I have been discussing with my school board in relation to things going on with Pine Plains. So really what I want to do is highlight a few things that we have been discussing, but I also, before I get into that, identify where you can find more information. So if you were to go to our website and then take the opportunity to look at our headers, which is District Board of Education, I would point to the district. And if you were to click on the district, you will see a tab there titled Future Ready Organization Information Center. And on that landing page, you will see all of the workshops that we have been discussing, what I'm going to present here tonight. So you can see the first discussion that we had was our fiscal plan, our 5-year planning discussion, which we had in July of 2024. If you were to click on that tab, you'll see the slide deck that we presented along with just the video of that workshop. So you'll be able to see the full picture of everything that we discussed. If you were to be interested in learning more about what I'm going to highlight tonight, and this is where you would find that. So we've had some other workshops like enrollment trends and foundation aid, staffing discussions, enrollment projections, facility analysis, and facility utilization. So I am tonight, in just a minute or so, going to hit highlights from each of these presentations, but certainly feel free to ask me questions or you'll find the information here. So one of the first questions that I started to wrestle with in taking over as the superintendent at Pine Plains is, why do we have one of the highest per pupil costs in the county? So in my first year, I started to take a look at that. And in doing so, I started to take a look at our enrollment. And the enrollment that I looked at was starting in 2003, 2004 school year, all the way through the 2023, 2024 school year. And the highlight of that analysis is in this bar chart. And I would like to just identify in 2003, 2004, our enrollment for K through 12 was 1,420. And last year, our enrollment for pre-K through 12 was 783. So we have decreased our student enrollment by nearly 50%, give or take on my math on that. So continuing to do some analysis, in my second year, the state aid started to become questionable. And in particular, it was the foundation aid. So foundation aid makes a big portion of our aid. So our total state aid that we get from New York State is approximately $8 million. $6 million of that is foundation aid. And just to talk a little bit about what foundation aid is, it was established back in 2007. And there is a very specific language that's in the law that is sometimes called safe harmless or hold harmless. And I mention that because when you talk to people with state aid, they use those terms interchangeably. And really what safe harmless or hold harmless means is it's a provision that ensures that districts do not receive less foundation aid than the previous year. So despite our enrollment declining, and I'll explain how this formula works in a second, we continuously get our full foundation aid because of this provision. But the formula itself, it is a complex formula with two extremely impactful variables that affect Pine Plains. The first is student count, and then the second is the wealth ratio. And the wealth ratio for the Pine Plains Central School District, we appear to be very wealthy because of you know, the different properties and the farms and the second homes that happen around here. So on paper, we appear to be very wealthy. And the other variable is our student count. So our number is actually declining, but because of safe harmless or hold harmless, we've been getting that full 6 million over the last couple of years. So, but in the second year, there was a bit of a nerve-wracking moment when the governor was planning on reducing the foundation aid and making it true to the formula. And if it were to be true to the formula, we would lose 4 million of that foundation aid. So when you do a comparison of our current status of our foundation aid, which is 6 million, if we were to lose 4 million of that, then we would only have 2 million from foundation and then 2 million from other areas of state aid. So really, we're looking at a total gap of $4 million. There was a point in time, and I heard your discussion earlier this evening, that I was certain that we would have foundation aid for 1 more year. Not to talk politics, but it's going into an election year, so I thought for sure we would have foundation aid. I'm starting to question that, and I'm questioning it because I know that the federal government is having less money going to New York State, and I know that New York State is working try to cover healthcare. So the governor is going to have to make decisions, and I don't know what's going to happen in that avenue. I will say that I have recently attended NISCUS, which is a conference for New York State school superintendents. And the talk there was, last year was, we're going to have foundation aid. This year it was, I'm not so certain anymore. So that is an uncertainty that we'll have to keep an eye on. When we did our enrollment by building analysis, this was an interesting moment here. And I'll just point out some of the numbers. So we took a look at the year 2004 to 2005, and that is on the left side. And I'm going to point to our enrollment for grade 9 through 12, which was 465. And our middle grades, which is 6 through 8, which was 358. And that totals 823. And if you compare that to our entire enrollment for pre-K through 12, it's actually less. So what that highlights is our entire student population could technically fit in the junior senior high. Now, that building is not particularly set for little people. So we would have to make a modifications there. But it was an interesting fact. Additionally, if you were to take a look at the Seymour Smith grade bands, which is our 2 through 5 school right now, that had an enrollment last year of 210. The Cold Spring K through 1 enrollment was 115, and our pre-K students were 33. And if we were to add all of that together, that was 358, which if you were to compare that to the Seymour Smith K through 5 enrollment in 2004, 2005, it's comparable. So that brought us to the point of doing a projection and facility analysis. And we contracted Dr. Ross Haber to do that analysis. And his conclusions were that the district could consolidate into 2 buildings. The change will not impact the delivery of service or increase class size. The change will decrease the transportation cost and operational cost. And the closed building will generate revenue by either being sold, leased, or rented. Before I go any further, this is a discussion that the board is currently engaged in. No decisions have been made, but we were at the point where we thought it'd be best that we start engaging this conversation at a larger scale, which is one of the reasons why I'm coming around to different town board meetings and making sure that everybody's aware of this information. This is actually my 4th town board meeting that I had the opportunity to present at. I am continuing to schedule some others as the months go on. So upcoming presentations, we are going to continue to do town meetings. We are going to be doing employee forums. We are also going to do parent and community forums as well. Next steps for us, we are in the process of doing an analysis of operational costs per building. And obviously, we're going to continue to closely monitor foundation aid, and we're going to continue to focus on being fiscally responsible. So again, I do thank you for the opportunity to allow me to make sure that I bring this to your attention. And really, that was the purpose of tonight. I will certainly take any questions that you might have. But again, I might not be able to answer them because we are still in the process of working through this. And no decisions exactly have been made yet. Yes.
Do you anticipate that these changes will impact the school taxes in a downward way?
So what I'm trying to do is engage my board with a conversation of what I see happening in the near future and to be ready to make adjustments. You know, a $4 million gap from the state aid is not something that can be passed on to the taxpayers, in my opinion. That is too large of a tax impact. So we are trying to make modifications or adjustments to our current footprint. So this way we can close the gap that way. So what we want to do is bring down our expense side rather than try to increase our revenue side.
So right now, this is all just investigating, doing data analysis, and you haven't made any decisions yet.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
And that would be up to your board.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And again, really what I'm trying to do is to raise awareness of this situation, because whatever the changes are that do come down the road, I do think that it's going to be mainly focused on the financial impact. Because if and when we were to reduce in foundation aid, we're going to have to make an adjustment somehow. And what I don't want to do is increase taxes. So I think I'm hoping I highlighted the evidence that we do have the ability to go into a smaller footprint, which would save money on the expense side.
Right.
What are you hearing from parents of this, what are you hearing from parents? I'm sorry, I wasn't in front of the microphone. What are you hearing from parents of children in the schools that may be closed?
So we don't know which school we're gonna close yet, or if we are gonna do that. So I'm anticipating when we get to doing the parent and community forums that we'll hear more voices that way. So I anticipate more information coming over the next couple of months. Yeah.
So this isn't the first time that Pine Plains has done this. It was done in the 70s and 80s. And my recollection is, because I lived through all the shuffling back and forth between buildings, the Cold Spring was left vacant, which nobody was in it, which I think is probably a really bad idea. But eventually the population grew and they had to reopen the school. So having the option to sell it might be not a great idea if you expect that population will go back up. So, but leasing, certainly leasing the building so you don't have it vacant, just sitting there, or renting it, with a lease period so that you can reevaluate it might be a good idea. But I've talked with parents that know, have heard rumors, and they don't seem as concerned about it because of the way the busing system has been for the past quite a few years. So we have kids that live here in Ankrum and are bused all the way down to Cold Spring.
Yeah.
So I think they might be more flexible
Yes.
to it now.
To your point, if I could just elaborate, I think there was a time, and I wasn't here for that, so if I mess up the history, I apologize, but my understanding of when Cold Spring closed, it was a neighborhood school, meaning it was a K through 5. And
Yes.
Seymour was also a K
Yes.
through 5. So that definitely impacts families and has emotional ties to that. With our configuration right now, which is Cold Spring is pre-K through 1, and then Cold Spring is 2 through 5. Everybody cycles through all of the buildings. So I don't think there is that same heightened emotional tension.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're used to, that kind of segmentation of the way it's working. And I would say it actually works better because you're keeping classes together that way. Whereas
When we went to school,
yeah, it was.
we were
it was
2
awful.
years apart, and so they would bring Cold Spring up to Pine Plains in the 6th grade. And we didn't know any of the Cold Spring kids in Pine Plains. Colleen's Cold Spring, I'm Pine Plains.
Right.
It was a big hurdle at that point, and I feel like with my kids, and you probably feel the same way, the way that it's working right now with having them together by grades all the way through seems to be smoother.
Much so. And so I think it'll be probably a little bit easier, for your decision making that way than what they had to do back then. So.
And I can't speak to all of the factors that went into that, because I am aware of it. I did get a little research and look into it, but I think the fact pattern that is facing us right now today is much different than what that decision was. That's just my guess at this point.
Mhm.
I don't believe they were facing a huge gap in state aid.
Right. Right.
Anyone else?
All of them.
No.
No,
No.
I'm sorry.
So
split.
it's mainly Ankrum Dale, Roach Drive, Pool Hill, Hall Hill, Wilsey Bridge. When they shut the one-room schoolhouses, I believe we had either 12 or 13 here in Ankrum. A certain number of them were taken on by the Pine Plains district, and a certain number of them went to Rojan, and that's how the school district got split. So it's mainly Ankrum Dale. It's not really much of Ankrum.
Right, I'm sorry, I forgot which town it was in. Apologize.
One other question, when are you
For the next school year you're looking for, or is this the very, when you plan on, I don't think we're on that. I don't know if we can.
So we are fully funded with foundation aid with this school.
No.
So there, I can show you.
Just when I went out
no
to the
change.
game, it was then the mask.
As we begin to prepare for our budget for the next school year, we start talking about that in early December. What the critical, idea, because the unknown variable is the governor's fund. And we did a first run of state aid, it was early February. And that kind of gives us a warning shot of what we're looking at. But that does change over the next couple of months. So until we get the actual approved governor's budget, we really are not 100% sure what is going to happen with that foundation. Good.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, thank you. I
Thank
really
you so much
appreciate
for coming. Excellent.
All right, move on to the supervisor's report. At the county level, we continue to, or I don't, I'm not on that committee, but they continue to work on the budget. Everything seems to be going smooth with that. The one big thing that I learned last night at the Public Works meeting that some people might be interested in, both of the bridges in Gallatin are due to reopen on the second week of November.
Oh, joy.
Highway report.
Public comment.
Oh, yeah, you forgot the public comment.
Well, I asked for public comment when he finished.
Oh.
I mean, we have another one coming up.
No, it's right here on the agenda. Okay.
Yes, for it. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Did.
All right, highway report. I see Obi, filing the remaining $185,572 in fifth funding prior to the November 5th deadline. We should receive the money by mid-December. We did an extensive makeover on Prospect Hill Road, reshaping the ditches, and we added over 1,000 tons of gravel to it. And we put some shoulders around the edge of the helipad out here. We've been blowing leaves out of the ditches to prevent plugging the culverts, etc. And we just got done doing some patching over here on Pool Hill Road and Patch Road. With help from Gallup to Conic and Northeast. That's about all I got.
Townboard.
Are you all done with the patching?
Okay.
All right, so I had another quiet month when it came to dog license and certified copies. I have nothing to report there. As the town board is aware, we're having a little disagreement with Central Hudson. We have a $4,085.05 bill from Central Hudson for 1 month. We've been going back and forth with them since May, attempting to get it fixed. They keep promising to send somebody out to just check the meter and to fix the bill. Last month, we got a shut-off notice. Jim called there, told them that we were not paying it, that they were supposed to send somebody out. Bill was supposed to be fixed. They said, oh, no, don't pay it. We'll fix it. Yesterday, I opened the mail to a $4,085.05 bill. So on behalf of the town of Ankrum, I filed a complaint with the Public Service Commission. And I also contacted Dee Dee Barrett's office and left her a message. They weren't in the office yesterday. I haven't heard anything back today. I refuse to pay this bill. We may be working on generator before it's over with and candles, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. So our electric bill here at the town of Ankrum for an entire year usually never tops out at even $6,000. So a $4,000 electric bill is just wrong. The other thing that I put in my report is just the agenda process. We've just gotten a little bit off the rails with it. And I just want to remind everybody that I need to have this stuff 10 days prior to the best of your ability. I understand that stuff comes up, that it's an emergency and that we have to take care of. But it's just getting to be, it's getting to be a lot. So I'm just asking if you can, please get your stuff for the agenda to me 10 days prior. And then one other thing that I didn't put in my my report was the end of last month, I turned over the 2025 town tax account interest check. I wrote a check for a grand total of $16,858.63 to the town. Of that, we collected $11,426.66 in interest and penalties, $45 in notice fees. And because I have an interest-bearing money market account, we collected $5,386.97 in interest. So that account is now closed out until January, which will be here before we know it.
So Monica, the Central Hudson admitted it was a mistake, right?
Several people admitted it was a mistake.
Okay, so
And when Jim called last month, he basically told them either come and fix it or shut it off. We'll run the town hall and generator, because they've just been very snarky about
yeah,
it too.
that's terrible.
And the way the bill is coming is, let's say our bill is $500 for the month. They put $500 on the bill for what we've used in electric and fees. And then they credit us the $500. And then they drop down the $4,085.05. And it's like Groundhog's Day. And it just gets my blood boiling.
Okay.
Because they keep saying a new bill's going to come in 3 to 7 days. 3 to 7 days never shows up. I'm here all the time. I never see a meter man. I sent you all the bills, so you
Yeah.
see them.
And, I had an issue once and Dee Dee Barrett's office helped me out with it, so maybe she can intervene a little bit.
They're calling Art now looking for the money. Maybe he'll pay the bill.
Maybe he'll pay the
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I sat there and tried to line things up, figure out, is there, what is being miscarried? There is nothing. It does not make any sense at all. And apparently, according to the paperwork, they have not estimated or read the meter since May or June. So
They said when the last time,
Yeah.
Jim, we actually spoke to a human being, they told us that they see that somebody came out and read the meter, then nothing was done. It wasn't actually gone to the next step where then it goes into the system and the bill is fixed.
The state, I thought that they had passed a law that said they could no longer estimate bills. Isn't that
Yes.
true? So they shouldn't be estimating.
I don't even think this is an estimate. I think they pulled this number out of a hat.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, just
Or
keep putting it
something.
in there, but eventually we'll just pay it out.
Councilwoman Hunt.
I don't have a lot. I'm not sure I should bring up the pavilion again, but the pavilion was stained during the month at some point, and the committee had asked Jim to come up with some estimates for someone to do it, but all of a sudden it was done. There was no communication between the committee or the board. I don't know who did it or what it cost or how it got paid for. But I think we can do a lot better with communication and making decisions like that. I'm grateful that it's done, but I'd love to know how that happened.
I had a request from Steve to get quotes to stain the pavilion. We needed to get it done before cold weather set in, so I got 3 quotes. Then I told the one that I picked to go ahead and do it.
What did it cost?
I think the bill is the back of the packet.
I've seen it. I mean, I have no idea. It would have
It
been,
was
it would have been courteous or even something.
7,000 something.
Okay. So
No, it
so
was,
you
no.
got
No,
estimates?
5,750.
I mean, it would have been nice to know about it. It would have been nice to have, communicate, maybe common sense to communicate with the committee at least, but I mean, anyway, that's, I think that's how things should be done, but like I said, I appreciate it's done, but it would have been nice to know about it.
Okay,
And
Point
that's all I
taken.
have. That's it.
okay. Councilwoman Gold.
Gonna just give a website update. The web team met twice this month. We reviewed responses to the web survey that was sent out on Ankrum email. In total, we received 70 responses, 98 of whom came from residents, 3% business owners, 4% town employees, and 17% volunteers. The highest ranking issues this is what came in on the survey, what matters most to people. Access meeting minutes and watching town meetings, finding contact info, looking up town laws, and reading town news. We found that the majority of users access the website from a desktop or a laptop computer, while mobile phone and tablet access is split. The most important features to our users are easy search functionality, submitting forms and permits, signing up for notifications, contacting specific departments or individuals, and bookable facilities, making reservations on a calendar. A lot of additional information, much of this information is really helpful for the developers in terms of navigation. So we appreciate all the comments that came through. There are currently 3 companies remaining that are under review. The review process is more tedious than we originally believed it would be because pricing varies greatly depending on base pricing, services, design, and add-on features. And we are looking only at companies that specialize in town and government websites. The objective is to find the company that best fits our budget and which offers the best level of services. Considerations include content migration, back-end services, templates, and cost over 5 years. I have to say that the choice may not be the lowest cost option, but the one that provides the most seamless transition with easy-to-use upload and editing tools that do not require an independent webmaster. In other words, we want to be able to manage all of the uploads and changes to the website internally. The next steps, Islin has put together an RFP, a request for proposal to send to the 3 remaining vendors. We hope to have their answers back by the end of October, and we'll meet again and we'll have hopefully the selection made by the November meeting, November Town Board meeting. Any questions on that? Carol? Yes.
You have to speak in the microphone, Carol, if we're doing this.
So, if I wanted to upload the minutes, I would upload the minutes. I wouldn't have to send it to Bill. Is that? Not every individual would not have the ability. Oh, well. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you got a good response on the survey?
Yeah, I think we're pleased with the response that we got.
Okay.
Are you finished, Amy?
Yeah, Monica or Mike, my committee members, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you did a good job. I think it's been very labor intensive. And I think a lot of thought has been put into it. And it's very nice to have Phil and Mike and Island, not saying that you and I don't help, but they're very knowledgeable in this, and I think that we're in good hands.
Good, thanks.
Councilman Boyce.
Presented, some information and a price last month on putting notifications on County Route 7 at the intersection. We voted on it and approved it. They did the work this month, and actually, myself and two other gentlemen from the town of Ankrum actually helped them direct traffic and kept them safe. I want to thank Devin and Darren for helping out that day. You know, they didn't have enough people, I don't think, to be directing traffic, but that's what it was. Got done. I think things are, it's a good improvement to the intersection. I have a bunch of things that I could talk about, but I'm gonna let those go for tonight. But I do have a seeking competition in procurement packet that explains how you bid, when you bid, and where you have to advertise your bids. And another one that talks about using prevailing rate when you're doing any projects in town. I have these for the pavilion committee so they can use it anytime they want. You can download it from the town Association of Towns in New York State.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, David, I just want to say, I think that the striping and the signage on the roadways is great. However, Jim mentioned at the candidates forum on Sunday that you didn't wait for approval from the county and you just sort of went rogue and did it. I understand that frustration can have that effect, but I don't really think that's the way to go as a government entity. I think we need to follow the rules.
I spoke to multiple county foremen and people on the county highway department. I also talked to three gentlemen supervisors from the state highway department that were there when they were doing all the road cutting along the route. If you guys notice, a lot of the time, their rally point is the Ankrum Fire Company parking lot. Maybe Jim didn't talk to them, but I did. So the guys I talked to from the county actually offered to do it for free if we had to ask them. And I said, no, we have approval. We're going to go ahead and do it.
Okay, that's just not the impression that I got from what Jim said.
You didn't hear it from me.
Councilwoman Lutz.
Okay, I have a few things. We started actually looking for quotes for electrical installation. We still need to get a few more quotes from individuals at the pavilion. So we are working on that. Thank you to anyone and everyone who attended the forum. I thought it was really great. A couple of questions came up and some subsequent questions that have come to the library from constituents in Ankrum about the library referendum tax, about the tax that will be coming up in November. And I thought I would just throw together some information about it just so you understand it, because sometimes it can be a little confusing. I know it took me years to figure it out myself. So in 2021, Ankrum voters passed a referendum, which is called a 414, to levy a tax in the amount of $29,977 from property owners in Ankrum. That amount, combined with the levies from Copake and Hillsdale, accounted for a total of $140,591 raised in taxes. The amount accounted for approximately 40% of the 2022 budget. Tax funding for the library did not increase for the next 3 years. However, inflation increased, as did the demand for e-resources, reducing the percentage of expenses that the same tax levy would cover. So by 2025, only 30% of the library budget was covered by taxes levied within the 3 chartered towns of the library. To put that in context, most libraries within the Mid-Hudson Library System, which the Rojan is part of, and along the region, have anywhere between 70 and 85% of their budgets covered by the tax levy. While we have extremely generous donors, the library needs to have dependable, sustainable funding to ensure a solid basis for planning. Libraries are a community resource and should be treated no differently than a public school or a fire department. In 2025, the library is seeking to increase the tax levy for the library by $18,000 and $18,873 for a total of $48,850 to be collected from the residents of Ancrum. These funds, along with Copake and Hillsdale, will raise the amount to be covered by taxes to $231,605. This increase in tax levy will account for 45% of the library budget. Still well under and below many of the libraries in the region and in around the country. Let me look at this even further. The referendum proposes a tax rate to be $8.98 per $100,000 of full market value of all the properties within Ancrum, Copake, and Hillsdale. All the towns receive the same rate. For example, a property with a full market value of $300,000 would pay $26.94 per year for the library. That's $2.25 per month, well under the amount of a paperback book, audiobook, movie, or about the cost of a large coffee. Your tax bill shows the taxes collected on the library tax line. This money is simply collected and passed on to the library by the tax collector. If your property value increased since 2022, the amount you pay may go up. If your property value has remained the same or gone down, the amount you pay may go down. The library tax will increase the town's overall budget by 2%, but how that impacts individual property owners will vary. And I want to also talk about the pavilion because there are some, questions about that, which are certainly good questions. We've heard that a lot of people think that the pavilion is being paid for by tax money. The truth is the library pavilion is being funded by a generous bequest from the late Charlotte Schutz, a longtime friend and member of the Rojan Library. In her will, she directed the library to pay off the remainder of the mortgage of the building and construct a pavilion for outdoor enjoyment of the library. The library has applied for state construction grants to cover any costs for the pavilion project. No taxpayer funds will be used to pay for the pavilion. Okay, moving on. Columbia County has updated their hazard mitigation plan. And every 5 years, they're supposed to update that, and they have just finished that update. I think we should probably have a copy on hand for us because it's about 455 pages, where Ancrum does have a small annex in that. So there is some Ancrum specific information on that. Supervisor MacArthur and I worked on that during their planning phase. We'll be posting that on the Ancrum website. And Monica Knight and I worked together and created a resolution that we need to pass, not necessarily tonight, so that it can be finally approved by FEMA and New York State Department of Homeland Security and Environmental Safety. So, and it's important that we do adopt it because if we ever in the future want to apply for any funding that requires that you have a hazard mitigation plan, that adoption allows us to be able to be eligible for that funding. And I have a couple of other grant opportunities that have come up. Joe Brown, who's the co-chair of the Climate Smart Community Task Force, and I were actually, we received a message from a company called Linkwell, and they'd like to work with us to upgrade our charging system so that we can actually collect money for charging and possibly upgrade the speed of it so it's a higher powered a level 3 charger, I think. So and it's perfect timing because the state just announced funding for that kind of infrastructure upgrade. So we may be able to offset the cost of that, of getting a new system in here, that we don't have to shut off when we're not here. So, and the last thing I think I have is the CAC, this is more for the board, the CAC has looking to see if they could have a vice chair. And we have had it in the past, but I am not sure if that's something we would possibly do by resolution to actually have a vice chair. The current chair is having some health issues. They have already kind of internally approved someone to do it. And so I am happy to go ahead and do a resolution for that for next month. It's not a huge rush, but
We
they're
could,
doing okay.
if you all are all right with it, when we get to resolutions, if you want to add it, we can, that's a simple resolution.
Okay, as long as it's simple enough to do that, just so that they have
Fine
that
with that, yeah.
coverage.
And I also went, that's what I went in my office for, if when we get to resolutions, if you all are comfortable with the one that Colleen talked about and we sent around before for the hazardous mitigation, if you want to knock it out tonight, I have it all set and ready.
I think we should.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So I think that's all I have for myself. Thanks.
Don't turn your mic off. We're under old business. Use rules for Bloss Park Pavilion.
So I circulated some updates that Amy had proposed to the rules. I think the biggest one, we had two that were questionable. It was number one, which is the maximum occupancy, which is originally set at 136 people based on the size of the pavilion. I believe I had suggested reducing it to 100. Amy said, what about 75? So I don't think we can go below what the kids camp is, which is 40. Okay, if there's 60, we would be okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd say at least 100. Stay at 100.
I'm thinking 75 would be okay. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, not
Yeah.
everybody parks there, but
yeah.
whatever.
I mean, I'm
I
okay
think
with 75
is high enough.
is reasonable.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we'll keep that. And then I think the other issue was number 9, which was the groups of 25 or more require a reservation and permit. And we just added some conditions at the bottom of that don't necessarily need to be on the rules. I mean, the bolded part of groups of 25 or more should be on the rules,
permit.
but the rest of it should be on the permit.
Yeah.
Which would just be that it's granted, the permits are granted to Ancrum residents only. Permit holder must be present during the event and accountable for any damage. And also the use of the pavilion does not imply use of the pool. The pool is subject to capacity restrictions and fees apply for non-residents. So trying to make sure that that's clear on the permit. And I think that was the only changes.
Can't hear you.
Just dawn to dusk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Done.
this month, the Ankle Fire Company, served a dinner at the Livingston Rec Park. And quite honestly, I think they had a pretty good system. One of my problems, and we've talked about this multiple times, dawn to dusk is very ambiguous. If we come to tell somebody here's the time, it's dusk, they're gonna argue with you whether it's dusk or it isn't dusk or anything. The Livingston Rec Park has the term sunrise to sunset. And you can pull out your phone, you can look at the weather, and sunset today was at 6:21. Sorry, your time's up. That makes life very easy. It's basically the same thing, dawn to dusk, but it's from being the person that has to go enforce some regulations once in a while and tell people, sorry, you have to leave, which I've already had to do twice at the pavilion. There were people down there after 10 o'clock at night one time, and there was a guy doing donuts out in the lawn the other day. And
Somebody in there, Gary, this morning.
Mhm.
well, I saw tracks out there, but it looked like there were multiple vehicles, not just one. Yeah.
Like a white car, it was what, crazy. 6:30.
I don't think so.
No, I'm working the mill.
The mill is gonna park down there. Because they're paving a section of,
Well, maybe they were confused, they thought maybe it was today. Hey, I don't know. Okay, that might explain. They
That-
changed it from today, tomorrow, to tomorrow, that.
okay. Well, that's, they are gonna be using some parking there. There's no reason they need to park all the way out on the ball field though.
No,
Those guys were out in, whatever vehicles they were out in the infield and turned around in the infield and everything else. I will make a point to be there before they're gonna open tomorrow, and I'll put up some cones and keep them out of the main field. Because we
I
don't
think
need
that's
cars
because of
all
weather.
over the place.
You know,
They can park out
Where your money
and
is.
stay out.
I like your idea about sunrise to sunset. I think that's a good idea. It's easily trackable.
It's easy.
I think that's fine.
And it changes
know.
with the season.
Right.
And that's one thing we talked about. In July, it's far different than it is in October. And that makes it easy for us to manage.
You want to argue?
I agree.
Go ahead.
All right, we'll make that change.
Just as a side note, there's been a white bicycle I've noticed down there for 2 weeks leaning up against.
Longer than that.
Yeah, does anybody know who it might belong to? Was it dropped off? Did a kid bike down there and then get picked up and they forgot where they put their bike? Just if you hear of anybody that's missing a bike, there's one down at the pavilion.
Or if you need a bike, apparently you can go rent and use it. They do that in, like in some of the cities, you get those rental bikes. I
Yeah.
don't know, as long as it comes back. I'm not sure, but I think that's a great idea, David. I think we should definitely change that. Does anyone else have suggestions?
We'll move to adopt the rules.
We can do that.
Are we ready?
I feel like they're pretty generic. I believe it's in the permit.
In the permit.
It is, it's 21, yeah. I just filled out the permit, so I know it is, so yeah, there is an age restriction.
I'll make that motion to adopt the rules for the pavilion.
Motion is second to adopt the rules for the pavilion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Before we move on, Jim, I just want to, I want to share something about the pavilion that's a positive. And our lovely resident, Santina Tyrone, who lives in the neighborhood, painted this beautiful painting of the pavilion. And I want everybody to see it. It's really fantastic. And she did it in appreciation for the pavilion that we went ahead and got it built, and hoping that the community will enjoy it. So thank you, Santina. She's here. And we have a little plaque we're going to put on it. I think it should live here in the town hall. Thank you. Really beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's gonna be a wonderful thing for our community.
It is. And thank you for being so thoughtful and a beautiful painter as well.
Mike died. Smith House. As for me, I have not been able to get a hold of Mr. Cantor, so I don't have any information there. New business, the 26 preliminary budget. Any discussion?
A bit, but. Um, There were a couple of lines in the budget that were already sort of maxed out. And one of them was the dog control. You have any idea why that, what that would be? All right,
So we have had an issue with somebody dumping dogs up on Carson Road.
oh,
And so we've had either 2 or 3 picked up. Every time they're picked up, they are taken to the drop-off point, which is usually a Pine Plains vet. And the fee isn't that large, and they adopt them out. One of the dogs didn't get adopted out right away, and it reached the 5-day mark. And I hope you don't get angry with Jim and I on this, but the dog control officer called us and told us we had 3 options. Or 2 options. Option was, number 1 was we could move the dog to Columbia Green Humane Society and they could work on getting it adopted out, but it would cost us the Humane Society fee. Number 2 was to euthanize the dog. Can we now see why we went with option number 1? The dog did get adopted out from Columbia Green. So
Oh.
it did overrun that budget, but
okay.
the way that Columbia Green Humane Society works is we pay them a certain amount, it's like $305, but they refund us like $200 and some dollars. So even though that line looks like it went over, it doesn't show that money that went into it. It was still over, but not by the sufficient amount. Rich thinks he's gotten a hold of whatever's going on up on Carson Road with these dogs being dumped. But
Are
you
they
know,
adult dogs?
they are probably, he's figuring about a year old. And they're just past the puppy stage, whether they were purebred or not, he doesn't know. But yeah, there was at least 2 of them this year. Which is something new. We don't normally deal with that.
No, I mean, it's really odd.
You have another one?
What else?
No.
It looked like the youth programs were sort of over as well. Youth programs. That is 73101. 73101.
Okay, that's a payroll line. Anything in the budget that's a 0.1 is a payroll line.
Okay,
Anything that's a 0.4 is an expenditure line. So it must have been that we didn't have enough in the line to pay them.
is that for the lifeguards and that sort of thing?
That the lifeguards and the camp counselors. So it's
Okay.
all the kids for the summer. The only bill that we're waiting for possibly for youth, and I haven't seen it yet, is the buses for the field trips.
Mm.
But that doesn't usually, we don't get that usually until October or November.
So we're gonna need to up that line?
Well, the expenditure line came in below.
Okay, okay. Otherwise, I think Steve gave us a good overview of what needs to happen. We haven't decided what to do about pay raises.
Have another discussion, won't we, Steve?
Okay,
Yes.
sounds good. Oh, sure.
Good to move on.
Hmm?
Good to move on.
I think so, yeah.
Bye. So we have a request from the planning board. A proposal for professional landscape architecture services for the Ankrum Solar Project. I don't mind. Am I supposed to sign this copy? It doesn't say town supervisor. Aaron? Aaron? Yeah.
Reviewing the, having on the agenda.
Take the mic, Aaron.
Uh,
Aaron, take, Aaron. The mic.
Closer to the mic,
This one?
like when you were on stage singing.
Okay. As you all know, the planning board is reviewing a solar application on Route 82. The board has received a lot of correspondence, including a large document from an attorney that the community hired to review the application. The concerns are that the solar array will cause a negative visual impact to the community. Our town law states that the solar energy system shall be maximally screened in 5 years to avoid visual impacts. The only way to screen the array is with trees. The solar applicant has provided a tree planting plan to the planning board. Our town planner and our town attorney both agreed that the planning board should get professional advice about the planting plan before we can move forward in our review of the application. The solar applicant was present at that meeting and is aware of the need. The consultant would advise the planning board as to the best options to successfully screen the array within the 5-year limit and for the life of the array. If the project is to be approved, a maintenance landscape bond will be put in place to guarantee the survival of the plantings. 4 other professional teams were asked to provide the board with a proposal, and Wagner Hutz, landscape architect, was the only team interested and available. They just sent that in just like yesterday. So the consultants would be paid through the escrow from the applicant. The planning board would like to work with the consultant as soon as possible to avoid any more delays in the review of the solar application that has been before the board for 10 months. Wagner Hudson are experienced in this type of project. They are ready to start the review process. We need your approval of them as a vendor for the town. The planning board and our concerned neighbors will all be appreciative of starting the planting plan review as soon as possible. Wagner Hudson is an award-winning professional landscape architecture and design studio founded in 1987 with offices in Burlington, Vermont, and Hudson, New York. They offer services in landscape architecture, master planning, mixed-use projects, and urban design. The firm's leadership have amassed a diverse portfolio of projects across the United States that spans all scales and phases of work. This is from their website. The projects have been a range of public and private clients, including corporate and university campuses, cultural institutions, federal and public agencies, residential and private development. The team has an extensive and deep knowledge of project management, natural systems, construction, and horticulture. They're registered in Connecticut, Florida, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Ohio. So they do a lot of work. We think that we are very fortunate that they are interested and ready to work with the Ankrum Planning Board to support us in gathering information for the board to make an informed decision for the community on this project.
Thanks, Aaron.
So I would need to sign this before they would move on?
Accepting them as a vendor. And yes, then that proposal needs to be signed before they are going to be starting the actual work. And then I'm not sure the process of collecting that escrow to pay them.
So in order for, there's not enough money in the escrow.
Right.
So in order for us to pay for this, they'll have to the applicant will have to pay more into the escrow. So I figured it out today, and with the last thing that we signed a contract for was $2,500 for the visual, was that the visual impact study or whatever? And then this one, it equals about $10,000. There's $2,800 in the escrow. So I thought we'll just ask for what the two bills are and then leave the 28 in there in case anything comes up with Nan or John. That was just my thought on it, and that was what I sent around to you all this this afternoon.
That makes
So
sense.
it's all in your, it's your decision. I'll do whatever it is that you want.
Yeah, I have one question about that whole process. I mean, if the applicant says no,
Right.
we don't want to start the process with the LA until we know it's gonna happen, but we just need to get that approval now. Have them as a vendor to the town.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that require a vote?
That will require a resolution. So when we get to the resolutions, we'll add it.
Okay.
That's an easy one too.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Aaron.
Well, that works out just right, because we're at resolutions.
Oh.
Resolution number 32 of 2025, resolved that the town board of the town of Ankrum does hereby approve the 2026 preliminary budget.
Make that motion.
Second.
She made seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolution number 33 of 2025, resolved that the town board of the town of Ankrum will hold a public hearing on the final 2026 town of Ankrum budget on Thursday, November 20th, 2025 at 6:45 p.m.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. What about this makeup resolution here?
That I've already numbered is the resolution for the town of Ankrum adopting the Columbia County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation update plan of 2025. I'm not going to read this whole thing unless somebody here wants me to read the whole thing. It basically just says that we are in favor of the update done by the county. The town of Ankrum is included in, and that it isn't an update from the 2000 plan. And it identifies the goals and the actions, and a lot of whereas and resolves. And it said.
Make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
The next one will be resolution number 35. And it will read, resolved that the town board of the town of Ankrum does hereby appoint,
Tom Ciano,
can you spell it?
T-O-M.
Tom.
No, I'm just kidding. This is C-I-A-N-O.
As the deputy,
Vice Chair.
vice chair. Vice chair. BAC, and I'll write it out, Conservation Advisory Council of the town of Ankrum. And you'll see that in the minutes.
Perfect.
Motion.
Make a motion.
Second. Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Would be resolution number 35. And this would read resolve,
It should be 36, I think.
it'll be 36. How old I wish I still was. This will read resolve, the town board of the town of Ankrum does hereby.
Sign that piece of paper.
No. Does hereby, where does it state?
Recognize them as a vendor.
Recognize Wagner Hodgkin as a vendor for the town of Ankrum.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Opposed? So carried. Are we done?
That is all.
Okay, public comment. Yes.
My name is J.L. Hoffman, and for those who do not know me, I served as the clerk for the Town of Ankrum Planning and Zoning Department from 2017 to 2024. I began coming out as a transgender woman to my employer and in my position in 2019. In spite of clear communication regarding my name and pronouns, Town of Ankrum officials and employees continued to misgender, deadname, and target me throughout my employment. Following my resignation, but while still employed, my supervisor, who I had complained about previously, sent an inflammatory and likely slanderous and libelous email to the town supervisor, other town officials, and Hinman Straub Lockman. At the December town board meeting, the Ankrum Town Board allowed an individual who had locked me out of the multi-person women's restroom that same day and on numerous other previous occasions to participate in the executive session, which was presumably to discuss my complaint. Further, by late winter, two things became clear. Supervisor James MacArthur and Councilman Dave Boyce had not recused themselves from oversight of the matter, and the town only intended to investigate the matter, not resolve it. After hearing no update since April 1st, 2025 regarding the investigation, I have attempted to get a copy of the report. In the fall of 2024, I resigned from my position effective December 31st, 2024, for a myriad reasons enumerated in my letter of resignation. Since April 1st, 2025, I have reached out to the investigating attorney, Ankrum CRB, Ankrum Town Board, and New York State Senator Michelle Hinshe's office. I believe myself and Town of Ankrum residents deserve transparency and accountability regarding this matter and others. Thank you.
Any other public comment? If not, I will entertain a motion to move to executive session to discuss employment history of a particular person or matters leading to said dismissal, removal, promotion, employment discipline, demotion, or suspension.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We move to executive session.
There we go. All right.
Okay, I entertain a motion in a second to reconvene the regular session.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Motion and a second to approve the warrant to pay the bills.
Make a second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Motion and a second to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
okay.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.